Hello, this is Ness Tilson here again. In this video I'd like to continue showing how to set up modular furniture. This is a problem that has been sent to me by Terry on the forum, and Terry is building a modular project with some cabinets, and this project is built up of cabinets which are clipped together and a kick frame underneath the cabinets and some decorative side panels and top panels. If we look in to this project in X-ray view, we can see the different parts. We have here a kick frame underneath, we have two modular cabinets which are clipped together, and we have some decorative panels all the way around. And one of the problems which we have to deal with in this particular type of project is, for instance, how to clip the different elements together. If we look at the project in edit mode, we can see that we have the different elements over here on the left hand side, and we have, for instance, the 50mm kick frame. If I drag a kick frame onto my project like this, and now I clip onto this a wardrobe element, and I'll snap this wardrobe element onto my kick frame, we can see that the problem we're having here is that this wardrobe is snapping onto the outside of the kick frame, which is not exactly what we want. What we really want is for this kick frame the wardrobe to snap onto the kick frame with an overlap all the way around. So how do we create a kick frame that will enable us to just simply clip onto it our different wardrobe elements and have an overlap of the wardrobe elements all around? Well, I'm going to show you how to do that. Let's start a completely new project, and I will show you quickly how to do that. So we go into Polyboard, new project, and this is an empty project, and let's put onto our empty project a new cabinet, and this is our model cabinet, and let's create with this model cabinet a kick frame that is going to enable us to clip onto it other elements, but the other elements will clip onto it with overlapping the kick frame at a certain distance. Okay, so let's first of all the first thing we're going to do is, what we don't want is we don't want all these panels on the outside of our cabinet, because we have to remember that Polyboard is always going to clip cabinets one onto the other from the outside volume. So what we want to do is you want to create the kick frame inside the total volume of the cabinet with so that the kick frame is actually the total volume of the cabinet is actually overlapping the kick frame by a certain distance. So we don't want to use the outside panels. So what first we're going to do is going to get rid of every panel that makes up this cabinet, so that we only have, in fact, a virtual cabinet. So I'd go into my properties and I click no on all its panels, and now all we have here is a virtual cabinet. There's no panels on the cabinet. This virtual cabinet, I'm going to give it a height of my kick frame, so let's say I want it 50mm high, and I want it the width, which is going to be the length of my kick frame. Let's give it a 1m20 width, something like this. So we now have a virtual volume, which is this kick frame 50mm high. Let's say it's got 50mm. The dimensions, the outside dimensions, are not important. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to make a parametric kick frame, but every time we clip onto this kick frame, we assemble onto it another element, that particular element will snap onto it, leaving an overlap. So how do we do this? Well, the first thing we do is we're going to use this volume to create the kick frame inside the volume. How are we going to do this? Well, here we have the volume of our cabinet. Let's first of all put in a couple of uprights inside this volume. And let's put the first upright a distance from the left, and say we want our kick frame to be set back from the outside of our cabinets by 40 mil. So let's say the distance from the left is 40 mil, and I'm going to click OK, and Polyboard has put in here a 40 millimeters from the outside volume, the first element of our kick frame. We go into this volume here and do the same thing, upright, this time from the right hand side 40 mil. And notice you're putting in 40 mil, but it could be any distance you want, any distance you want, but this particular element will always be at that 40 millimeters from the outside of my cabinet. Now let's put in the front and back. Let's go in here and click a double back, and the distance from the back we're going to put 40 mil here as well. Polyboard has put in a double back at 40 millimeters from the back of the total volume of the cabinet. Go into this volume here and click double back, and this time distance from the front 40 mil, and we have 40 mil here. Let's put in this interior volume now, a series of uprights that go, let's put 4 uprights to as stiffeners along our front frame. And now we have the kick frame is actually set up, but we do have a little problem here, of course, is that the sides of our kick frame, or the ends of our kick frame, shall we say, are overlapping by 40 mil, but we don't want that. So let's go click on one of the sides and click on the link to the back and recess it by 40 mil, and do the same from the front, recess it by 40 mil. Do the same for the other side here. From the back, recess 40 mil, and from the front, recess 40 mil. And now we have our kick frame. Let's have a look at our kick frame. We have our kick frame which is set up. That's fine. And now let's click close and create a new model in our project and call it a kick frame. And I'm going to call it kick frame R40, recessed by 40 millimeters. Now the kick frame appears in my models list, kick frame R40, and I can drag it onto my project. And now when I take a model, any other cabinet, ordinary cabinet, look, it's actually clipping where the clip points are, is now at the exterior of my cabinet. And if I drag it here, we can see that we can see that the actual cabinet is overlapping the kick frame by 40 mil here. If we look in 3D and see what we have, well, we can see that the cabinet has put itself onto the kick frame, and the kick snapped onto it, with leaving a 40 mil from the end of the kick frame to the outside of the cabinet, all the way around, But of course, a little problem being that by default the cabinet comes in at Z0, and it's not on the kick frame at all. It's actually on the same level as the kick frame. So, I mean, this is easy to move the cabinet. We can select the cabinet and say Z position here, and let's put it up 50. In which case, now we've moved the cabinet up 50 millimeters, which is the height of the kick frame, and it's naturally sitting on top of the kick frame, which is one solution. Another solution would be, let's get rid of this cabinet. Another solution would be to take the model, and instead of having the model with its Z outside position of the bottom here, at Z0, if we take this particular model and we give it an plinth elevation in its properties here, and we add 50 mil, the cabinet will now, the total height of the cabinet, of course, is still going from here to the top of the cabinet, but we have a space, a virtual space underneath, which is the space of the kick frame. Now, if I take this cabinet and let's create a new model and call this, let's call it a cab plus 50. So it's a cabinet with a 50 millimeter top. And now my cab plus 50s, if I clip them onto the click frame here and we look in 3D, they come in automatically snapped on top of my kick frame. Let's snap it up to the right position, and let's snap another one on here, and let's see what we have in 3D. And now the cabinets are actually coming in clipped on top of my kick frame. And they are overlapping the kick frame by 40mm all the way around. So that is how you set up the kick frame so that when you clip your cabinets onto your kick frame, you will also always have a consistent recess of the kick frame, and the cabinets will always overlap the same amount of your kick frame when once clipped into place. Right, thanks very much for looking at this little video. I hope it's been useful, and if you have any questions or any remarks or would like to know more details, don't hesitate in sending us a message on the forum. Thank you very much. Goodbye.